So what's going on, everybody? Back with a new project. Since the last video with the Dodge Journey, I recently traded that in. I was starting to run into the infamous Dodge transmission problems. So with that being said, the new daily driver, since we have the Crown Vic off the road and she's all lowered, 2.5 in the rear, 2 up front, and now I'm working on the bodywork. That's going to be a whole different video. Back to the topic on hand. Traded the Journey in on a 2019 Volkswagen, sorry, I had a piece of hair in my mouth, Jetta 1.4T. If you watched any of my other videos, the closest to an import I've had lately was my wife's Kia. Had Civic years back, but like I said, years back. Never had a Volkswagen. This is my first Volkswagen ever. So, that being said, I wanted to put an intake on it, and next will be a blow-off valve and exhaust and so forth. So, started researching. Not a whole lot of how-tos on YouTube for how to do it. There's lots of videos of people that did it and are doing a video of their intake being functionable. None of how to, and if there is, they're in a different language. So that being said, here's where we're at. We are in the home stretch. When you take your intake off, you will have hex bits on the top, and they are going to be a T25. So once you undo those, that'll let you take your lid off and expose your air filter. Once you have that part loosened, then you can come back here and squeeze your retaining clips with a pair of channel locks or pliers. That'll allow you to get your air box top off. I would take the top off first, and then that'll give you your wiggle room to pop the air box out, which is just held in by like a rubber boot pin system. So you'll have to tug on it pretty good. Nothing crazy though to get it out. And then that'll be like right there. Once that's out, then on the top side of your intake, your factory one, will be a hole. And that hole is connected to this plastic tube where I followed it, and it looks like it goes into the back of the motor. So with it being on the top side of the intake box, I'm assuming it, wherever this is going, it's going to get clean air as well. That being said, on this tube is a clip, just like this, that clips into the back. If you take a pick, you'll be able to press in the notches on this clip. Press it in and kind of slide it forward. What I used was a 90-degree pick. That'll give you enough to be able to put your pick there and pull the clip out. Once you have that out, generally you would think that this would just pop right off. No. Once you have that out, then you're going to use the pick and pull this rubber O-ring off of this part. Once that's off, then you'll be able to manipulate this top piece by just going back and forth and pulling it. Just be very careful that you don't break it. Not 100% sure. I would imagine you're gonna have to buy the whole tube. If you would, they probably don't sell that individual piece. But the other issue was on the factory air box, the only hose I was actually able to get disconnected from the sensor on the crankcase was the actual hose that goes into that sensor. And I had to use a pair of channel locks to break the seal on the hose. That being said, I ended up getting another piece of hose and I'm gonna go get a black piece of hose tomorrow. But right now, as you can see, dark out. It's after 1 o'clock, trying to wrap this up. So the black hose will come. In the meantime, I'm not putting it all back together. You will notice that there is another tube on the bottom of your air box. I'm assuming that it's on the bottom at the lowest point of the air box, which would be almost like the valley for if you pick up any water or anything of that nature, because it does kind of have like a ram air induction from the grill in. If you can see it, your air box will actually connect into this. So with all that out of the way, I got the tube connected to the crankcase. Then back here on the intake piping, I just made a hole and put in a adapter, which you can pick up several. It's a variety pack of them at like Autos and Advanced Auto. I ended up picking them up months back for something I was doing with the deck. So instead of throwing them out, you never know when you're gonna need them. They're small, I can throw them in a Tupperware container. They're out of the way. So last bump in the road we're at is, where do I go with this? Really don't want to drill any more holes in the intake tube itself. So there's a lot of plate in this. So I honestly think I am just going to go right back into the elbow. I think I'm just gonna make a hole in the elbow that's just a hair smaller than this, to where this just slides in and it seals basically on its own thickness into the elbow. So with that being said, I'm gonna pause this, do the hole, and get everything hooked back up, and then pick the video back up, and I will have a final product for you. All right, all finished. Where we left off, I was debating on where to go with this black tube that went into the bottom of the air box. So I figured that out. I actually just cut a hole in the side of the elbow and made it just a hair smaller than the actual tube, because when the motor heats up, the elbow will heat up and that it'll get pliable. So I wanted it smaller than the actual tube, so even when it gets flexible, the tube still stays in. Ran all that down, got everything all hooked up. Intake filter is on, and all the tubing. Tomorrow I will be hitting the hardware store or Home Depot, Lowe's, whichever one I come across first, and getting a piece of black tubing to go across there. Although the orange does stand out pretty cool, but I don't really care for it. It doesn't really clash with the red I have going on. I could wire loom it, but I'd rather just replace it with a black hose. And then if I can find a red hose, that'd be awesome. But so that is basically what you're going to be looking at to do an intake on a 2019 1.4 turbo or 1.4T. So I hope this is more informative than the other videos on YouTube. Like always, feel free, hit the subscribe button. Always looking for subscribers. Keep watching. Always doing something different to the vehicles. I'm sure I'll be plasti dipping the taillights and tinning some things and changing it. It does have like the chrome in it, and I'm not a big fan of white and chrome. I'd rather it be, you know, white and black. So I'll probably only keep like Volkswagen V and the W chrome. I'll probably black out the rest of the chrome on it. So, but I definitely wanted to get the intake done first, and next will probably be an exhaust, and then you know, throw a blow off valve on. Nothing too crazy. With these, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. While I'm thinking about it, I could show you. It's actually, the diverter is right behind intake tubing. There's like 3 bolts. So I'll have to pull them off, put in a blow-off valve spacer, basically. This is what I'm seeing that a lot of people are doing to let that go into the atmosphere rather than back into the intake. So thanks for watching. Definitely hope this helped, and always feel free to hit that subscribe button. Thanks. All right, so I wanted to throw in just a quick third part segment real quick on the Volkswagen air intake install. Recently when we left off, I had that orange tube going from the crankcase to the actual intake piping. I stopped at Home Depot and was looking at like just a regular black tube, and then I ended up finding one that is a braided style, which fits a lot better, and it just adds a little more style to it, so now I don't have to wire loom it. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So like I say always, feel free, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. If it's with Volkswagen, I may not have a 100% answer for you, but I will get back to you with an answer. Being that this, like I said, is my first Volkswagen. So thanks for watching.